The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Forbes magazine recently reported that there were 1,210 billionaires in the U.S. collectively. They were worth over $4.5 trillion. America continues to be the world's largest economy and boasts the lion's share of this ultra-rich class of people. In spite of this fact, an estimated 46.2 million people in America are living in poverty today. Where are we going wrong, and what can we do about it? Welcome to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with your host, Paul LaJoy. Let us show you some of the strategies that will set you on the path to building personal wealth. These are proven strategies that are working for others and can work for you too. Now, here is your host, Paul LaJoy.
Hello, good morning if you're in California West Coast, and good afternoon if you are on the East Coast or some other parts of the world. I hear people are listening in places as far as France, Russia, and the former Soviet republics. Can you imagine that? People are listening in China, Taiwan, India. So wherever you are today, you're listening to the Paul LaJoy Show, and it's entitled Wealth Solutions for the 99%. I'm excited every week to share with you some nuggets that I learn, solutions for your liberation. Today I was shooting a little video to send out to people around the world who listen to my show and basically telling them about the show. And one of the things I covered, actually the main thing I covered, was that, guess what? A lot of people work so many hours. And why do they work so many hours? For money, right? Because they want to survive. And they work many hours and many jobs just to make ends meet. A lot of families break up mostly because, especially if they live in America, they break up mostly because of lack of money. And I might be presumptuous here, but I think they break up because of lack of money. Because what happens is that, because they don't have enough money, they do several jobs, and they don't spend quality time together. That is one of the reasons why families break up. And I think that's very, very sad. Okay. And one of the reasons that happens is because people go about their lives without having a mission statement. What is the mission statement of your life? What is the thing that underlies what you are, who you are? You got to have a mission statement. So yeah, for my company, it's called Wealth Solutions. This show is called Wealth Solutions for the 99%. Wealth Solutions, that means a lot. It's loaded. That statement is loaded. Wealth Solutions for the 99% will show you how to create wealth. So I have defined 99% as people who make $400,000 or less. Okay, so we are excited about this program, how to show you how to create wealth. But let me go back to what I was saying before. A lot of people struggle in life because they do not have a mission statement. There was a book by a very popular pastor, in Southern California, and it's called The Purpose-Driven Life. The Purpose-Driven Life. A lot of people live their lives without a purpose. Can you imagine? And that's what's called a rat race, because they get up, go to work, and they come back, and that's it. Get up, go to work, come back again. Oh my goodness, how stressful is that? Purpose-driven life. If you haven't read the book, go read it. You got to have a mission statement for your life. Every company, every successful company in America and around the world has a mission statement. But most people, right? Most people who are, mostly people who listen to the show and people I'm targeting here on this show, the 99%, don't have a mission statement. And if you listen today, I strongly urge you to have a mission statement. And guess what? You don't want to be part of a grind. You want to create a business and you want to create an investment portfolio. Business and investment portfolio for your life. You want to get away from being part of the 99% or part of the basically people who are just going by the day and not knowing exactly what's going on. Okay, so you got to have a mission statement and you got to really strive for that. If you don't know what a mission statement is, you can go online, Google it, mission statement, and I tell you, Google is so loaded with things, and you can learn a lot from that. Okay, today we're going to have an exciting program, and I am looking forward to having my guest on the show. This guest, man, came from Pakistan with only $1,000 in his pocket, and two suitcases, landed in San Francisco, and today he is living the good American life. But before he joins us on the show, we're gonna talk about a few things why people fail. Right? So I was reading Forbes magazine. I just typed on Google today, and I said, "Okay, give me 10 reasons why people fail. 10 reasons why people fail." And one of them, number four, actually, exactly. You think, what if I die tomorrow? One of the reasons why people fail or why they don't really have a purpose-driven life is because they think, oh, maybe I'll die tomorrow, so why do I actually have to bother? You see, that's what happens in third world countries, right? And countries are not getting ahead because they don't have any plan. They don't have a plan, because they think I'm gonna die anyway, so why bother? Why bother? You know, and so that's what happens. All right, but that is pretty bad. That's pretty bad. We all think this from time to time. What if I die? Okay, and you know what? Sure, any of us might die tomorrow. All the more reason not to waste time thinking about it and hamstringing yourself from going after what you want to achieve. Would you rather die as a monument to mediocrity or as someone who never quit striving? Which leads to the next one. Okay, why do people fail? You wonder how you will be remembered. You wonder how you'll be remembered. Okay. A rap here is simply that you die tomorrow. Will people remember you as someone who clung to stability like an existential life preserver? Or is it what really you want? Anyways, this is, if you want to know more about the reasons why people fail, I would say just go to Forbes magazine and type in 10 reasons why people fail, or go to Google and type in 10 reasons why people fail, and you read that article. But today we're talking about wealth solutions for the 99%. We want to show you how not to fail, but how to succeed. How not to fail, but how to succeed. And I think I have my guest on the line, Mr. Zaid Jahania. Zaid, are you there?
Hi, Paul. I'm here.
Hey, Zaid, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for joining me here this morning. So we're going to share with our audience, right, wealth solutions for that 99%. And I thought how fitting to have someone like you, who came to America in 1999, not too long ago, and today you live the American life.
Yes,
And I
I
want
do.
you to share with us, with the audience, what made you successful. But let's first of all talk about a little bit about your background. Okay, um, tell me, where did you come straight from Pakistan to America or what?
Yes, I did. But I had visited America before as a kid visiting Disneyland, and the first time I saw that, I knew this is where I wanted to live. Uh, Went back home, came back, did my school, went back home, and after in '99 realizing that wasn't the part of the world I wanted to live, I came back to U.S. With a job. I knew I had a job with my college education and everything, that I had a job in front, $1,000 in my pocket, two suitcases. I landed in San Francisco, and that's the city I wanted to make my home. Uh, so that's my story.
So so you came here to America, you said prior to 1999, you came here and you saw how different America was from Pakistan. How? Would you tell me? Can you elaborate? What are those differences?
I had traveled to India. The same trip we traveled to England, and then when we came to U.S., when we traveled to India, it was fine. We did a lot of historical trips. When we went to England, everybody was very reserved. Nobody talked to you, and you about 1983, where the racial profiling and things like that in England was was noticeable. And when we came to U.S., we took a BART train to San Francisco, and everybody was talking to us. And I always wanted to talk as a kid, so I felt this was very different. And when I saw the Golden Gate Bridge, I tell everybody the story of the Golden Gate Bridge. The first time I ever saw that, I had that epiphany that this is where I wanted to live the rest of my life.
Oh, that's amazing. And so I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is not so much about the wealth creation stuff, because the wealth creation will come, but it's actually the story. People love to hear stories, and I think you have an exciting story. So you went to India and you went to, England. So England, how different was England from India, for example? I mean, India and Pakistan are next door to each other.
Before we went on a trip, we always had a family meeting together, and we discussed where we were going and what we were going to see. My father was very good at that. With lack of knowledge, he never went to college. He, went a little bit college education, but he knew all these things before we would go to a country. So it was like an adventure. So when we went to England, we were told and taught how to eat properly on a breakfast table at a hotel. And we were told not to look at anybody's newspaper because English people don't like that, especially from Indian kids. So we had to behave accordingly. But when we came to U.S., it was very different. People were very friendly, and everybody had told us, and we would take a BART or a plane, and people will talk to you, which was very different. And they were more open, they were more accepting. You could feel that different in 1983, or as a kid, I did feel a difference, 13-year-old difference between countries like Asia or countries like England or countries like America. It's a choice when you're an immigrant. You have a choice where you want to live. And, like I tell people, this was my choice, that this is where I wanted to live. Where if you work hard, you play by the rules, you're honest, you're sincere, there's no reason you cannot make that money.
That's interesting. We're going to take a quick break. I think basically we're down for a very interesting story. So we're going to, after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about Pakistan, because like you, I'm not from here. I wasn't born here. So I can talk a little bit about Cameroon, where I was born. And so I want to talk a little bit about Pakistan, because people have this notion of Pakistan just like they have of Africa, and we're going to talk a little bit about that before we talk about the main topic today, how you are really living the American dream. But we're going to take a quick break right now. We'll come back. You're listening to Wealth Solutions with Paul LaJoie, your host.
Be sure to friend us on Facebook. You can do it right now. Visit facebook.com/Voice America or search for us at keyword Voice America.
Dialogue is the single most powerful leadership tool we have to make a difference in the world. Leading Conversations with host Cheryl Esposito creates a place for that dialogue. Tune into the Voice America Business Channel every Friday as Cheryl hosts new conversations among leaders from around the world in business, government, art, economics, and social change. We'll explore big ideas and everyday actions and learn how their own leadership has led them to discover a newfound sense of possibility in the world. Leading Conversations with Cheryl Esposito, bringing big thinkers together in conversations that make a difference, right here on the Voice America Business Channel every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report every Tuesday at 6 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. This week, my guest is outspoken former congressman and one of our country's most prominent gay public figures, Mr. Barney Frank. He'll be with us to talk about the Supreme Court's ruling on DOMA and how the Obama presidency is doing in its second term. Don't miss Barney Frank this Tuesday at 6 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. on the Voice America Business Channel.
What's going on behind the scenes with your favorite Voice America show or host? For the latest news, visit the iRadio blog at iradioblog.com.
You are tuned in to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with Paul LaJoy. We'd love to hear from you on today's program. Please call in to 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. Or email us at lajoysolutions@gmail.com. Now, back to Wealth Solutions for the 99%.
Welcome back to the show with Paul LaJoy, your host. We're showing you how to create wealth in America through this program, Wealth Solutions for the 99%. If you're not making more than $400,000 a year, then this is your program. But even if you're making more than that, I think this is still your program. You can learn something. So every week I share with you some nuggets and also bring guests on the show who are living the American dream. And today I have with me Mr. Zahid Jahania, who is an associate here at Pacific Realty Partners, and I'm excited about the story. So before the break, we're talking about, how he came to America in 1999 and the reason why he came here. He came as a kid, a few times, came to Disney, and then, he felt like this is a country to live in and make his eternal home, as it were. So now before the show, I did tell you that we're going to talk about a little bit about Pakistan, because we want to talk about why America is such a great attraction. Every year you have thousands, even millions of people immigrating to America, even though you have violence in the streets of places like Oakland and Pennsylvania and all kinds of places and big cities. However, you still have thousands, millions of people dying to come to America. They got the EB-5 visa that business people around the world who have $1 million that can come here and set up a regional center, and basically get an instant green card. You have people who are going for the diversity visa, and they go for this. This is like a lottery, and millions of people apply for that. America is still the number one magnet for people around the world. And so his story tells you just that. I mean, he just said that when he came to San Francisco, he felt people were talking to him. It was very open and stuff like that. So now I want to talk a little bit about Pakistan. So the contrast, America, here you came to America and people talking to you and you felt so welcome. What we hear in the news mostly about Pakistan is negative, just like what we hear in the news mostly about Africa is negative. So give us a little briefer on Pakistan. What kind of country is this?
Well, I grew up in a very different Pakistan than what we see or hear in CNN right now. People who live over there are very comfortable. They don't, for some reason, they like it. They're enjoying it. That's their country. I grew up in a very liberal Pakistan where I went to a Catholic school. My parents were, I was raised Muslim, but they sent me to a Catholic school at a very young age because that was the best school out there in a city of 10 million people, which is Karachi. I was born and raised over there. So a Muslim kid going to a Catholic religion with a religious mother, but who never enforced religion on us. Father who was not that religious, but very liberal thinking. But we knew religion was very practiced every day in your life. But I, for some reason, was allowed to give a liberty to ask questions or move around, and I was very inquisitive. Let's put it this way. By the time this was a very middle class family, all of a sudden you had family who had traveled, and you knew somebody who went to U.S. And you would, they'll come and tell you about Disneyland and things like that. Pakistan was very pro-American country for a very long time in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and in general even now, where we got the U.S. aid. In the U.S. aid, we got the Popeyes, we got the Superman cartoons, and we got the Rambo. So everything what we saw of U.S. growing up in Pakistan was the good was the America, the bad was the Russia. And that was a propaganda which you saw every day on television. So, you were drawn to America was always the good thing. And as you grew up, you understood that's what it is. We hold our values differently than any other part in the world. You can come over here, listen to it, work hard, and be successful. So Pakistan was very different. I remember Pakistan as a very different country. Where people followed their religion, but it was okay to go have people of the other faith close to you, and things like that. So I don't know how else to describe that event.
So that's great. So the Pakistan you grew up in was a very lovely country, unlike what we see today. I'm sure it's still very lovely. The media just concentrates on certain bad aspects. So, but in spite of that, you were still very attracted to America, and you're uploading from a country where you were born to this country. What made you exceptionally attracted to America? I know you mentioned a little bit about that, but what made you exceptionally attracted to this land?
There were a couple of things. First, I was 18 years old. My father, the political conditions and things at that time started to go bad. My brother was supposed to come to Berkeley, so they had, we had come visited, and we paid for his fees and everything. And all of a sudden, he got a very good job in Pakistan. So he decided he'd rather work for a year than come to U.S. So my father already had saved enough money to put a kid to school for 1 year in U.S. And once he decided he didn't want it to come, I was given an option right after my high school. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to U.S. and go to school over there? And decided that within 5 minutes because I had visited U.S. before. I liked the idea of living somewhere else, traveling the world, and seeing a world from a very different angle. I enjoy meeting people. I like talking to people, and it was given a chance to go to school in U.S. wasn't a bad idea at all at that time. It was a chance to go out and prove yourself that you can do something. And I went to school full time. I worked full time. I did that for 4 years. I didn't take a couple of days. I think I took 1 week off in 4 years while I was in school.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. You're listening to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with your host, Paula Joy. That's me. And the number to call in, if you want to call in, is 866-472-5790. 866-472-5790. We share with you every week, the nuggets that will make you successful. It's a country that is slated for your success. That's America. And Kennedy once said, and I quote it every week, don't ask what my country can do for me, but what I can do for my country. That's why I wake up every Saturday early in the morning, prepare this program for your success. And today, we are hearing from Mr. Zahid Jahania, originally from Pakistan and passionate about living in America. So he's told us why he was so excited about coming to America. So Zahid, in 1999, you landed in San Francisco with only $1,000 in your pocket and 2 suitcases. Were they big suitcases or what?
They were big suitcases. I knew I was coming over here for good. So you were absolutely right. They were packed to the maximum capacity. And I landed over here. A friend of mine picked him. Actually, my boss picked me up, took me to work after 12 hours or 12 hours of nonstop flight, and decided, let's stop in the office for 5 minutes before I take you home. And I went to office. The next day, I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's interesting. So you came with over $1,000 in your pocket, but you were loaded with a dream. So you had a job all the way from Pakistan, and you had a job before coming here?
I knew I had a job. I had interviewed the person, and we had talked about everything. And before I came in, I knew, but I needed to come to U.S. to do all the paperwork to have 100% surety. But I knew I had a job. I knew I had a job at that time.
Okay, that's interesting. So you had a job already, and were you okay? So coming from Pakistan and having been to America on vacation, and then living here in America from 1999, was there any kind of a disillusionment, or you thought this is it? I mean, what I dreamed of, this is it. This is really it. I'm living it.
It was always, very. I lived within my means. I knew. My father always told me when I was a kid. I'd said, I'll be millionaire soon, or one day I'll be a millionaire, or something like that. When I was like 12 or 13 years old, I always wanted to make sure that I work. If I work hard enough, there's nothing that cannot be achieved. And I'd always seen throughout my family and my life is like we were very hardworking people, and working hard and being honest and being sincere to your work was very much. I knew that was my calling, and that's how I always worked in my life. So it wasn't disillusioned. I worked hard. I bought a house. I got married. Things like that. It was living the American dream till 2007 and 2008 hit, and then all of a sudden, the world changes underneath you.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. So basically, you said, and that's when you actually came in 2008, when during the meltdown, something happened to your property. Your first home in America. So you live in the American dream. You had your own little condo, and all of a sudden, values of homes started going down. Okay, and that affected you, and that's exactly when you came across Pacific Realty Partners. When I talk about short sales.
Absolutely, I think I called Wells Fargo Bank, and they had told me that there's a go attend, ask for a. I had worked in real estate industry before, but I had no idea. But it was more in mortgages, so I had no idea how a short sale worked, or nobody had any idea what a short sale worked.
Yes.
And when I called Wells Fargo, they said go look for a realtor. And when I asked around, I lived in Newark. I asked around, and somebody told me about your company, and that's how I came over there. It was the hardest time in your life when you're losing your home. So I could understand how people felt when their first dream house, which they worked hard for, bought, and all of a sudden the values went underneath them and they couldn't afford them. The prices had gone down by 50%. You don't have a job. You're on unemployment. There was no modification, and it was a very hard time.
Yeah, so in Chinese, you have this thing called opportunity, right? So the character, opportunity, 机会, in Chinese, is spelled when you find a challenge in life. That is a time that your breakthrough is coming, right? When there's a challenge in your life, that is about the time that your breakthrough is coming. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the breakthrough that you had, right? You had the economy was going down, and your house was losing value, and then guess what? You talked to Wells Fargo, and they told you go talk to someone. And at that time, not many people were doing short sales. You came across Pacific Realty Partners, and we were doing short sales. And from that moment on, the year after, you decided to join real estate. Wow, that's amazing. So we're going to talk about that. That is the crux of the matter today, because we're going to show you how to create wealth. If you're listening to this program, then Zahid, and then after the break, we're going to talk about how you too can be like Zahid, right? Wealth Solutions for 99%. We're taking a break right now. We're coming back soon. Paul LaJoy.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
Do you need directions to solid financial future? If so, the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with a roadmap to making smart money decisions in every area of your personal finances. Join Jordan every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Money Answer Show on the Voice America Business Channel. Learn how and where to get the best deals on mortgages, cars, and insurance. Find out the best ways to save for college and retirement. Get out of debt, improve your credit rating, and save on your taxes. The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with great tips on investment opportunities in real estate, stocks, annuities, and other investment vehicles. That's the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman on the Voice America Business Channel every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Are you an entrepreneur that wants to achieve more? Not just in it for profit, but to do work you find meaningful, that adds more value to more people in more ways? Listen for Be More, Achieve More, Inspiration for the Entrepreneurial Mind. With host Chris Cooper, you'll hear from successful achievers from around the world with the passion and experience to offer invaluable guidance. These people are making a difference and will help give you the motivation and insight to achieve more. Be More, Achieve More can be heard live Fridays at 8 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel.
We're making it easier to listen to the Voice America Talk Radio Network live wherever you go on iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. Download it from the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
You are tuned in to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with Paul LaJoy. We'd love to hear from you on today's program. Please call in to 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. Or email us at lajoysolutions@gmail.com. Now, back to Wealth Solutions for the 99%.
Hello, welcome back to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with your host, me, Paula Joy, where every week I show you how to create wealth. Every week I share with you my nuggets of wealth creation. And every week I share with you my life. How can I make a difference in your life? How can I make a big difference? How can I leave a legacy, right, in America, the land where I've chosen to live? So on the show with me today, as you've heard before, if you're just joining us, on the show with me today is Mr. Zahid Jahania, originally from Pakistan, now living the American dream. He, during the first half of the show, he shared with us, why he was so impassioned about America, why America, out of how many countries do you have in the world? Why America? And I did during the last hour of the show, the last half hour of the show, I talked about why a lot of people, millions of people around the world, want to come to America, land of dreams, right? Of course. So Mr. Jahania is one of those who wanted to come to America, and we talked about his background in Pakistan briefly, and then now in America, and how he, in 2008, came across Pacific Realty Partners, and he was about to short sell his house. And in 2009, he decided he wanted to go into real estate, and he's now full-time in real estate. He's been doing something. Mr. Jahania, what do you do? What do you specialize in?
I specialize in commercial properties, residential income, and property management. It comes under the span of commercial, but I found my niche in 2010 when I sold my first building that, this is something I would like to do. And once I was defined that one, I focused on it, and now I manage in over 75 units. We have 13 properties, and they are 4-plexes, 5-plexes, 6-plexes, 10-plex, 14-plex, 18-plex. We sell them, we identify them, we work with lenders, getting people loans, and then managing them also. We are the one shop which provides all the different solutions and take away your concerns about owning a commercial property.
So what attracted you to real estate in the first place? I mean, you were going through a short sale in 2008. What attracted you to real estate?
When you are unemployed, you watch too much television late night. And I've always read about in this country that real estate people were made, the most amount of millionaires made in this country was somehow or the other connected to real estate. Mm-hmm. Once I saw that, I realized, if this is true, I'm not an internet or I don't work in IT field, so I don't have any experience in Bay Area or Silicon Valley as such. I looked at real estate. I saw how it was done. I understood if I work hard enough, sky's the limit. And I have done open houses, things like that. I used to do a lot of open houses. I've done open houses on Thanksgiving and worst of the economy because I wanted to work hard. And it was something I knew I could do, and I could relate to people at that time. People were losing houses or buying houses. I could relate to them. I understood how real estate worked. And, I've always seen and read that if you work hard in real estate, realtors do very well.
Yeah, and they say your riches are in your niches, and you found your niche, right?
It was very important. I listened to you once, and you were the one who used to give lectures to lecture somewhere that you gotta find out what you do the best. And I picked that up, and first I sold the building. It was like, this is what I want to do. That's what I'm focused on. And
now you have residual income. You have residual income flowing your way, whether or not you work for it, right? So you build a foundation, right? And once you build that foundation, then you build a house. You don't have to worry about the foundation anymore, And that's what I encourage people to do. You cannot just build a house without a foundation. Let me tell you this. A lot of people live their lives. I think I had a preface at the beginning of the show. Why are so many people so stressed in America, right? And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to ask you a question, your take on my book. But why are so many people stressed in America? People wake up and they have no vision for their lives. They have no mission statement. And because they don't have a mission statement, they don't know what they're living for. And so at the beginning of the show, I talked about the purpose-driven life. A book written by Warren Now, Pastor Warren, down there in Southern California, I think everyone listening to the show should pick up that book, The Purpose Driven Life. People live their lives without a motto. You got to have a motto for your life. See here at Pacific Realty Partners, I've always believed in having a slogan, in having a motto. It says creating wealth and lasting relationships. And even the name of this program, it says what? Wealth solutions for the 99%. I could have said, oh, the Paula Joy Show. No, but no, it doesn't tell you anything. I said wealth solutions for the 99%. So we show you solutions every week. And right now we're talking about, how Zahid found his niche. Remember in 2008, the economy was going down the drain. His home value was going down the drain. But what happened was that he took advantage of that. He associated with a company or with people who are going places. People were making and shaking that particular economy. And he said, what can I learn from this situation? How can I turn this challenge into an opportunity? Right? And he turned that situation. Today, he is one of the top property managers in the entire Bay Area. And your goal is to take the 75 units to 200 units in the next 12 months. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's very important to have a goal and a focus. Last year, I started at an 8 unit, and my goal was 50. By the year end, I had crossed way over that. Worked very hard for it, but at that last year I was very focused on making sure I had those 50 units. Once I reached 50, my next was 75. Once I reached 75, my next goal is to reach 200 by the end of next year. I strongly believe you got to have a goal, and then you got to have a plan. I did not have a plan before, but after I came back in real estate, I sat down and had a business plan, which was to make sure to do certain things, to contact people or work hard, figure it out how you can achieve that goal. And then you work hard with that process. If you're successful, you get to your goals. And once you're rewarded, you feel it and you understand if you keep doing the same thing you're doing and you do it a little bit more, you will be successful and you will achieve your goals. So that was my focus. So the first I identified what my niche was, then I focused myself. And then if you work hard enough, I realized in real estate, a lot of the dependent on commissions. And I wanted to have a supplement income as residual income coming to me for the next 4 or 5 years. And I understand my second goal was to be the second biggest company in the whole Tri-Valley of the East Bay. They're bigger management companies, but I wanted to at least be the second one, because I know if I become the second one, I can be the first one also. There's 1,300 apartment buildings in Hayward, Fremont, Union City area, and there's ways to go for us. But I want to be the top over there.
So when we walk the streets of America, and I have traveled around this country, we see poor people. For example, you see in the streets of Oakland, San Francisco, L.A., New York, and other parts of America. You see poor people. What would you say is wrong with these people? My book talks about it's impossible to be poor in America. What would you say is a reason why these people fail or they look like they are failures? What is the reason?
I guess sometimes there are social issues also. All over the world, if you look at it, I've identified there are social issues everywhere. And there can be mental issues, or there's a lack of focus. A lot of times people just get lost in the system, and they don't understand the idea of being focused or being successful or having goals. If you don't have goals in life, you don't know what you want. If you don't know what you want, whatever you have, you're content with it, and you always blame it to the system of not making it. And I've seen that happen over and over again in this country. At the same time, I've seen people who have been successful, or they go to a college or they get an education. Education can teach you a lot of things. Being focused for 4 years, having a goal in front, that teaches you to identify yourself who you are. Sometimes it's a very basic system which fails you, the social structure or psychological issues or things like that. And that's what I think.
Right, that's interesting. So, but you decided not to live that lifestyle. You decided to carve a niche for yourself, and today you live the American dream. And of course, you live in a very beautiful part of Fremont, and you drive top of the line cars. I mean, is there an end to your success?
There's none. This is just the start. In the worst of economy, I decided that when I made money, what things I never had. I made sure when I'm successful, after you set up your goals and you achieve everything, they should. I strongly believe, and you save the money, or tell people you got to save the money. Is you got to reward yourself also. And once I achieved every landmark, I wanted to buy my first Mercedes, I did that. I wanted to buy my first Rolex, I did that. So, I rewarded myself as I go. And I always made sure I saved more money than I spent. And you got to think about future. You got to have certain things as residual income coming into you. You got to be focused enough to understand what will it take you to have a good and comfortable lifestyle. Everybody has their own dreams. I live in a nice part of Fremont. I drive nice cars. I live a nice lifestyle, but it's all of being being at the same, being gracious also, being humble too. Success should not get on to you or your character in any such ways. Then you follow the golden rule. You treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And I think that's the fun part about it.
So, say, what's your niche market? I mean, if someone is listening to this and they wanted to get a hold of you, first of all, define who you're looking for as clients.
Well, if you want, if you're looking to invest in anything more than residential units, by residential units, I say anything up to 4 units. When banks tell you cannot buy more properties because you have 4 loans or 4 properties, we cannot get you a loan, it's time to get to the commercial area. You can buy 5 units and more at today's market with only 20% down. The rates are historically low. They're about 4.1%, and you can get a $1.2, $1.5 million property. Invest 20 to 30%. Your rate of return should not somewhere around 7 to 10%, depending on which markets you want to go in. If that's a person who wants to invest in commercial real estate, who understands what it brings with it and a high rate of returns, then you need to get hold of me, contact me, and let me know how I can help you.
That's interesting. Okay, Zaid, it's been a pleasure talking with you during the show. I hope that our listeners really gain something from this. And is there any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for inviting me today. I tell to a lot of people, like, you got to have a goal, you got to have a mission statement, and you got to work hard at it. Be honest, be sincere, work with ethics, and if you do that, it's impossible to be poor in America.
What's your contact information, Zaid?
Well, they can email me at zjahania. It's a Z as a zebra. I can zjahania@gmail.com, or they can call me at 510-468-1958. I'll repeat that, 510-468-1958. And just as Zahid, you can text me or you can call me anytime you want.
Thank you, Zaid. You have a great day. I really enjoy having you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Okay, cool. You just heard it there. Mr. Zaid Jahania, originally from Pakistan and now living the American dream. This program is for the 99%, for people like Zahid. Who had a vision, a mission, and they said, America is where I want to live in. I am so baffled many times when people come from other parts of the world and they're just clipping it. Here in America, how can that possibly happen? You broke yourself away from the place where you were born and you came to America, the land of dreams, and where things happen, where you see Hollywood, where you see Silicon Valley, where you see things happening. These American companies are the ones that are running the world. You came from your country and you came here to America. And I am so baffled that some people still live the scrapey life, as I call it. How can that possibly be? Well, now I just shared with you today, Mr. Jahania, how he by having a passion, a vision, a mission statement for his life, guess what? He was able to make it here in America. And he said, really, the sky's the limit, and where he is right now is just the beginning. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you a recap of what I think of everything and what will help you to get to the next level. You'll listen to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with your host, Paul LaJoy. Quick break.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
If you want to know about investing in emerging and frontier markets, or if you have experience in this field but still need to know more, tune in to Emerging and Frontier Markets Investing with Gavin Graham. Gavin explores news, current trends, and insights about both categories of investing. His guest experts, along with his own knowledge, will help you stay above the line when it comes to growth potential, whether in funds or equities. He will look at what to invest in and avoid. Tune in to Emerging and Frontier Markets Investing with Gavin Graham every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel. How can we Americans realize our dreams to earn a living? How can you pursue your dream and make money as an owner or an employee? Learn how at The American Business Person, the online weekly radio talk show hosted by Rich Killian. Today's business leaders share how to succeed and what fails. If you own a new or established business or ever hope to, you must tune in. Join us every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central, and noon Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel, or listen on demand to our archived shows.
Save on your prescriptions with the RX Savings Plus drug discount card offered by Voice America. It is not insurance, and discounts are only available from participating pharmacies. But 9 out of 10 pharmacies participate nationwide. Start saving today. Print your free card online at voiceamerica.rxsavingsplus.com or text the word TALK RADIO to 96362.
You are tuned in to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with Paul LaJoy. We'd love to hear from you on today's program. Please call in to 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. Or email us at lajoysolutions@gmail.com. Now, back to Wealth Solutions for the 99%.
Hello, welcome to my show, Wealth Solutions for the 99%. Today, on the show with me was Mr. Zaid Jania, originally from Pakistan. He shared with us, what made him decide to make America his home. And you heard what happened. In 1999, he came over here to America with $1,000 in his pocket. And today he lives the true American life, the true American dream. Yet in America today, we have a lot of people who do not live the true American life. You walk the streets of Oakland and the streets of San Francisco and LA and other parts of America, and you still see people. And then I think the lack of money causes people to live the derelict life. The lack of money causes people to live the derelict life. That means the life that they don't want to live. When I sent out an email this morning, the catchphrase was, happy are those who dream dreams. Happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price to make them come true. Let me repeat. Happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price to make them come true. I've always maintained that basically, if you work hard and have a vision and you have the passion, you will never, ever be poor in America. It's impossible to be poor in America. If you follow this radio show every week, and if you read my book, which you can find on Amazon.com, or just go to pauljoy.com, or go to It's Impossible to Be Poor in America. If you read my book and practice it, it's virtually impossible to be poor in America. I believe this with all my heart, with all my bones, everything of my being. It is impossible to be poor in America because America, unlike other parts of the world, gives you the unique platform, the canvas to paint your dream and make it come true. Happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price to make them come true. This is a quote by Leon Sunitz. Happy are those who dream dreams and are ready to pay the price. Are you paying the price today? You see, nothing comes for free. Nothing, absolutely nothing comes for free. You cannot live in a house that doesn't have a foundation. You gotta have a house that has a foundation. See, basketball players and athletes and actors, these successful people. How many other people strive to be successful? Basketball players, football players. How many other people strive to be soccer players? But guess what? You stop somewhere. They stop somewhere, and that is what really is not. Yeah, the secret to success. The secret to success is basically you're willing to pay the price to make your dream come true. Are you paying the price? But first of all, let me ask you, do you even have a mission statement for your life? What is a mission statement for your life? That's my biggest challenge to you today. And that's an assignment. Go home and put down your mission statement. It's only 3 lines, a few sentences. What is your mission statement? I remember when I used to live in Taiwan, my mission statement for my life was bringing joy to people. And that's why my name is Paul the Joy. Always. See, you should have a slogan. What is a message you're sending out there? What's a legacy you want to leave behind? Okay. Mission statements is paramount. So when I lived in Taiwan, like I said, I found myself always happy. And so I decided to have myself a name, rename myself Paul the Joy. Right? And I got to live that joyful life. This is it. This is it for me. Joyful life, bringing joy to people. Paul the Joy. When I was born, they gave my name, my family name was Ekani, but it didn't mean anything to me. I don't know what it means. So I decided, no, I'm going to rename myself Paul the Joy. Le Joy, L-E, is French, and joy is, joy, happy. Paul the Joy. And then myself, Paul the Joy, and I live to make you happy, to make people happy. And that's happening in my life today. Mission statement. Even my life, even my name is a mission statement. And I started a company called Pacific Realty Partners. I could have named it Paul the Joy Realty or something. It wasn't going to be about Paul the Joy. It's going to be Pacific Realty Partners. And there was a slogan to it, creating wealth and lasting relationships. What do? We create wealth and lasting relationships. I started a company in 2007. And the motto has always been to create wealth and lasting relationships. And up to today, we show people how to create wealth and lasting relationships using real estate. And last year, I wrote this book. It's impossible to be poor in America. It is impossible to be poor in America. If you do certain things, you get certain results. And even the show, Wealth Solutions for the 99%, everything goes with my mission statement in life. Bringing joy to people. And I hope I'm bringing you joy by enlightening you, because I think money is paramount. Money is very important in everyone's life. People fight for lack of money. People don't fight for abundance because of abundance. They fight because of lack. Why do people fight in the third world countries? Why is there strife in third world countries? Because of lack. People don't have freedoms. Freedom of religion, freedom of expression. And so they fight. So in America, people fight because they don't have money. They kill because they don't have enough money. If people had enough money, they would not kill. Okay? I believe so. Okay? On average. Okay? You've listened to Wealth Solutions for the 99% with Paul the Joy. It's been a pleasure having you on the show today. If you want to find me, go online to LeJoy Solutions, or just go to paulthejoy.com, or you can go to It's Impossible to Be Poor in America. Follow me on Twitter and friend me on Facebook. And remember, It is impossible to be poor in America. It's been a pleasure being with you on the show today. I look forward to having you next week where, remember, it's impossible to be poor in America if you follow me, Paul LaJoie. Have a good day.
Thank you again for listening to Wealth Solutions for the 99%. Please join Paul LaJoie again next Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Voice America Business as we continue to help you build your personal wealth.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk